Les here. As in, let's be honest. Let's be honest about something. First of all, my day. It wasn't so good, although it was very good. It just wasn't so good. I recently met a man named Landon, and I met him on the ramp of Moorhead and 277 here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Landon draws pictures and he's incredible. He does a lot of comics. He also likes still portraits. So you can bring him a picture and he'll do it, and it'll look pretty close to the picture that you've brought with awesome shading. So he sells these at $25 a piece on the ramp, and he sleeps in a sleeping bag behind the doghouse, which is across from the Panthers Stadium, like a quarter of a mile away. He also hangs out at the inner city library, where him and probably about 100 to 200 other individuals just hang out when they have nowhere else to go throughout the day. Maybe they are reading, maybe they are learning. But they've been doing it for quite some time, and a lot of times it's the same people over and over for months and months on end, until they get like an inkling to go into detox or put in jail or stay at the shelter for a time. And even then, the shelter doesn't open up until like 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So in the grand scheme of things, it might not look so bad, because the shelters are thinking, well, we have them somewhere to sleep, so during the day they can find a job. The libraries are thinking, well, at least we know where they're at during the day and they're somewhere safe and not committing any crimes. But it looks like it might be clashing, and in this clashing comes individuals that cross paths with a population that may be of lower income or have stumbled across an accident or anything that could leave them in this condition, which is homeless, which is without a place to go, whether it's pride or whether it is a consequence, or whether it is an accident that put individuals into this condition. There's maybe several routes that we can take. Recently read a book called Toxic Charity by Robert Lupton, and he speaks on finding a mutual benefit between all parties that are involved in helping any one party, which is awesome. That means that I don't get resentful and bitter whenever something's either not reciprocated or appreciated in the right light. People don't mind giving to something if they're getting something back. That's how it goes whenever you go into Walmart, whenever you go into Target. You're giving something to that business because they were the liaison on getting it to you. You're mutually beneficial. So you'll continue to go back to Target, and both of you will continue to thrive in the ways that you have. Life, liberty, and laundry detergent for all. On top of that, to find a mutual benefit in an area, depending on the area, it can look a lot of different ways. So in rural or suburban areas, I seem to find that a lot of the mutual benefit is in agriculture, or maybe something that the area is well known for, whether it's cattle or farming, otherwise chicken coops, which is awesome. In a city, it can be several things. What I have found in Charlotte that I don't really know if we know that it's a strength yet is the population, is the amount of people in this particular population, in this condition. They're able-bodied, most of them, and able-minded enough to ask you for a quarter and end up getting $1, or stand on the side of the road every day and make at least $200 to $300. I'm a former drug addict and homeless, and a job that some of us would do is to ask others for money, and we would definitely get high off of it. But that doesn't mean that everybody that's asking you for money is getting high. But it is just letting you know that becomes, whenever we give, then it's expected. See, all of a sudden, whenever you give $1, that same person comes up and says, well, I know I can get at least $1 from this person. And if I do that to 25 individuals, I have $25 for the 30 minutes that I was out here asking. So that's what Robert Lupton introduces, is he says the expectancy remains, as well as the chronic homelessness or the chronic services that need to be offered. See, if we're giving food to the homeless, why do they have to work for it? There's a company here in Charlotte, North Carolina called the King's Kitchen. One of the things that they prided themselves on, which I didn't find in some of my research, was that they were homeless friendly, as well as they would look for a job or be able to point you in the right direction for jobs, whether it was there or other places. But I found that was only once a week. You had to listen to a sermon and things like that. And I do believe that God was every bit a part of my sobriety and continues to be. But I also know I didn't want to hear that at one point too. So I know that I had to find my way to that. My goal is to know the strengths of this large population. What if we were to introduce something small? There's a sewing machine in the inner city library that anybody can use. And I bet 3 out of 80 of the women that sit up there on a daily basis either could be taught to sew or already know how to sew, because there's a class there. So you mean to tell me that I can make this thing that I have, a book bag attached to a beanbag chair, and begin to promote it and manufacture it on a mass level because there's 200 individuals that might be able to benefit from it? What if half the sales of these things were to go to these individuals, or were to even just provide for 3 or 5 of them? Removing 3 or 5 means you're removing 18 in the long run, because we do have children. We definitely repopulate on a regular basis. It's still Les here. As in, let's be honest. And I'm asking you to be honest with me.